We will wait for Ryan to join us in just a little bit. We will wait for Ryan to join back with us in just a little bit to continue the conversation here. Um, so this is, by the way, the next episode of season number 3. I forgot to mention that in the opening. Sorry about that. This is our Bills chat with Ryan Talbot. But as I was basically saying, I feel the Bills are going to at least go 9-3. They're at least going to go 9-3, probably before the bye, which is week 13 of the season. To touch on a few things that Ryan mentioned as we wait for Ryan to join us again. Ryan mentioned that Jacksonville has been a thorn in Buffalo's side, and of course, we all saw what they did to Buffalo over the course of the season and what they did to Buffalo in London. So, honestly, I gotta say, if the Bills can at least go 9-3, 9-4, it doesn't matter. But if they can at least be in a good spot prior to the bye, I think they have a good chance to I think they have a good chance to get I think they have a good chance to get back into the playoffs like they did last year. I don't know, Bills Mafia. Is this the year? I hope it's the year. If it's not the year, we'll see. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. All right, when Ryan comes back to join us, we will wrap up with our predictions. I've already given you my prediction by the bye. Remember, it could happen. It could happen. It could not happen. This is episode 17 of season number 3 of the podcast. So when Ryan comes back to join us here, we will wrap it all up for the last 10 minutes with how we can get in contact with Ryan. We'll wrap it all up with our predictions, and we'll do that when Ryan comes back. But all in all, Bills Mafia, I want to mention that we will be back with you, Bills Mafia. We will be back with you to chat all things Buffalo Bills all season long with the return of Bills post game. Will we this time have people join us to make the show a bit shorter? We'll see. But as we wait for Ryan, I'll just tell you right now that um, I think the rookies that Buffalo got in the draft, I feel like, especially Keon Coleman, uh, I think Keon might be a bit of a wild card, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, you never really know until they go out on the field. But I mean, look, if I had to predict the Bills' record for the 2024-2025 NFL season, I would put them at 12-5, maybe 12-6 for the season, which I believe is good enough to get into the playoffs. We'll get Ryan's opinion on that if he joins us. He said he can only do the next or another 10 minutes, which is okay with me because we're at the point where we're going to wrap up. We're at the point where we're going to wrap up anyways. And while we wait, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast since we first had Ryan. But while we wait for Ryan, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast. We've talked about it a lot. If you would like to join the Shout, a Buffalo Bills football podcast insider text group, all you have to do is the following. Click on the link in the description of every episode of Shout up until this point, which is https://joinsubtext.com/shout Buffalo Bills. If you are into texting, all you got to do is text 716-528-6727. And again, it will be a free trial once you have been connected to the Shout Buffalo Bills insider text group, which is called Shout Bills Text Insiders. And of course, once you've done whatever, you'll be able to get in contact with Matt and with Ryan during game days, during the preseason, during the off season. It all is provided with the subtext, but that of course is if you want to go the extra mile, which after your free trial, which I believe is 13 days, the last I checked. We will check that out with Ryan when he joins us, just to be sure. But last I checked, I believe it is 13-day free trial. And if you want to go the extra mile, it would be $3.99. So you would have to pay $3.99 to continue being able to text with Ryan and Matt directly in the Bills Shout Bills Insider Text group, which once again, as I mentioned, is called okay. So hang on one second, ladies and gentlemen. We will invite Ryan back to the studio here. That was my bad. I forgot it. I should have emailed him. Oops. My bad. Sorry about that, Ryan. My bad. Let's do it here so that it comes through the podcast email. Okay, let's get the invite rolling here while we have a chance. Okay. Okay, let's just do this here. Okay, here we go. There we go. Let's send him another invite so that we can get him on here. We're doing this all on the air, by the way, which is completely okay. So, as I mentioned, the last few moments of our show will be to indeed, yes, indeed, it will be to indeed give our final thoughts on the season, our predictions, and things of that nature. Okay, so hopefully we'll get Ryan back. Uh, I mean, I probably should have mentioned before we got the show going. Oh, there we go. There you go. There's Ryan. There we go. Okay, so Ryan is connecting back to audio here. Okay, here we go. So Ryan, I was just talking to our listeners as we were coming back with you, and man, oh man, I apologize for our technical issues here. We've been getting kicked out as we've been on the air. Oops. But that's the thing with technology. They sometimes they don't
Mhm.
like you. Anyways, minus
That's
the whole
right.
minus the whole season thing there, Ryan. We'll wrap up with the final 10 minutes that we have here, the another 10 minutes that you mentioned. We'll wrap it up here with our predictions, but I did want to mention that, and you can clarify this now that you're here, but I did mention to the listeners that if they want to be a part of Shout, a Buffalo Bills football podcast's text insider group, a Shout Bills Insider, that they can text 716-528-6727, or they can click on the link that is provided in the description of every Shout episode, and we will continue to provide it in our Bills content as well here on Sports for Beginners. Uh, we will also let you guys know that you can use the link. If you want to do it link wise, you can go to https:// joinsubtext.com/shout Buffalo Bills. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but last I checked, it was 13 days with a free trial.
Yeah, you get about a 2 week free trial, and then after that, it's about $4 a month or $3.99 a month. It's a great investment with training camp just around the corner. You get the latest Bills news from Matt and myself, and it gives you a chance to talk, one on two because you send us messages, and one of us will get back to you. So great format that we've really enjoyed.
Yes, so I've stuck to just emailing, which is completely fine too. If you just want to email them, that's completely fine too. But if you're in the area and you want to take advantage of texting, so a reminder that the number is 716-528-6727. And again, if you want to go to it through the web, you got to go to join subtext slash or join subtext.com/ shout Buffalo Bills to become a Shout Bills text insider. And with that being said, we will have a link in the description of the episode for that. as we will have it for all of our Bills shows. And if we forget to put the link out, don't worry about it. We will make sure we get it out to you, even after the episode has been published. So, Ryan,
Yeah.
if we have no further delays, I want to get down to our season predictions. Let's start with a bye. So I said I predict the Bills being 9-3. I also think they could go 9-4. But where do you see the Bills going to the bye? Where do you see the Bills going to the bye?
Mhm.
Like, where do you see
So,
the record going into
we
the
already
bye?
talked about those. Right. So, I see them beating the Cardinals, winning 2 of 3 of the primetime games. So that puts them at 3-1. Then you have the Texans. That's a tough one. I think the Texans, though, have a much tougher schedule this year. I'll give that one to the Bills, 4-1. Then you get the Jets in the next week. The Jets game is following their London matchup. There might be a little bit of jet lag there. I like the Bills in that primetime matchup. Titans make a lot of sense for the Bills to win that game, and then you get the Seahawks. I have the Seahawks as that one weird loss that the Bills seem to have every year against a team that they shouldn't lose to. Just kind of mix it up there. I'll put that. I'll keep that in there. Dolphins at home. I like that matchup for the Bills, and even against the Colts on the road, I really like Anthony Richardson. But I want to see what he looks like 1 year removed from his injury, what this offense looks like in Indianapolis. I feel high about that game too. And then the Chiefs will probably be a little bit of a stumbling block there. So, I could see them having 3 losses at that point. About where you're at, 3 or 4 is not unrealistic.
No, 3 or 4 is like 3 or 4. That is, it's not unrealistic. But again, when we go to the bye, so we got like, I think you and I are right around, almost right around the same page going into the bye because I mean, you've mentioned a couple of the games and you said 2 out of 3 of the primetime games they'll win. But again, like I said, in the opening, these are predictions that we're making ahead of the season, so we don't know what the record's going to be. This could possibly be where they are by the bye, but we don't know. They could surprise us and go out and
Yeah.
win. They could surprise us and go out and win all 3 primetime games. Don't think that will happen, but if it does, great. If not, okay, we'll see what happens.
That's just football. You don't know. We're talking here in early June. You don't know what injuries teams are going to face throughout the summer months, preseason, throughout the year. That obviously factors into it. But post bye, you look at how the Bills have fared. They're undefeated with Sean McDermott post bye, so that's pretty nice to have the 49ers coming off of a bye if they can keep that streak continuing. Or to continue, because San Francisco is legit. They're a great team. That's a tough matchup. Could see that being a coin flip game. Rams at the Rams. I like the Bills. I still think that they have a better talent level overall. Lions is a tough one. The last time they played the Lions was on Thanksgiving 2 years back, and that was a real back and forth game. I could see the Lions knocking them off. And then you end the year, though, with the Patriots 2 of the last 3 weeks, and then the Jets in week 17. Who knows what the Jets are going to look like at that point in the year? I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to have this unbelievable season this year. He's 2 years removed from playing good football. So I could see them winning those last 3 games as well.
Yes, and you mentioned Aaron Rodgers, and we all know what happened to him in week 1 when they faced the Bills last year. We all know what happened. He got hurt, and then that was the end of his year. He did not play in any of the other games. He would still, but he did fight. He did fight to play in the other games last season. He did fight. He did fight to
Mhm.
get his injury off. But again, like you said, who knows where the Jets will be by the later half of the season when the Bills play the Jets one last time. And you also mentioned they're playing the Patriots 2 of the last 3 weeks. Of course, that week 18 game, which I believe is in Foxborough, that might be, I think that's in Buffalo. Oh no, that is at Gillette Stadium. That's in Foxborough. So So the Patriots will be in Buffalo before they go to Foxborough. So I would see if this ends up being a split between the Bills and the Patriots, I would see the Bills winning the game at home, and then they might give depending on where their season is at that point, which this is early June, so we don't know what's going to happen until it happens, but
Mhm.
I would say the Bills win at home the week before they play the Jets, and then when they go to Foxborough, I I like the Bills to win in Foxborough, but last time they played in Foxborough, and I don't know if it's accurate, but I think they won. I Maybe they lost. Oh yes, yes, they did lose. They did lose once to the Patriots. They did lose. So that might have been in Foxborough, that might have been here at home. But like you said, Ryan, like you said, uh the Bills post bye, they have been really, really good. They have been really, really good. And also, not only have they been good, but they've been able to get into the playoffs post bye, and that's led
Mhm.
to playing for the AFC East division, which we've seen now four straight times in the Sean McDermott era. Four straight times the Bills have won the AFC East. Now, can they win it a fifth time?
Yeah.
We won't know until
I still have
we won't know until games start being played.
right. Yeah, I still have them as the favorite to win the division this year. Miami, I think, is the most realistic threat. I'm not buying the Jets, and the Patriots are still a few years away. But you're right. Post bye late in the year last year was when they made a push for the playoffs. They went 6-1 late in the year, only losing to the Eagles in overtime. So they've been doing a good job of ending the year strong these last few years. Do that again, and they'll be in a good spot to win the East again and be in the playoff picture once again.
Yeah, so Bills Mafia, this would be my Q&A for you guys. I just want to know from you, and Shout listeners, you can also join in on that if you listen to Shout and you also listen to this podcast. You can also join in on that. I want to know, not really a prediction, but I want to know if you have faith in the Buffalo Bills to win the division for a fifth straight year in the Sean McDermott era. I think it'll happen. I like the Bills to do the division. Just like Ryan, I agree. I feel like Miami might be the only threat. The Patriots, I don't think we have to worry too much about the Patriots, but we'll see what happens this year with the Patriots before we even start playing them. We'll see how they're looking over the year, like as the year goes on. But honestly, I feel like we don't have to worry too much about the Patriots. The Jets, I'm not really buying what they're selling, but you never really know. As Ryan said, it's football. It's football. So again, you've got Arizona to kick off the season, and then you wrap it up with prior to the Jets game, a game against the Patriots, and then after the Jets game, you get another game with the Patriots. So I guess that will lead us to pretty much the conclusion. And Ryan, just give me I know we've mentioned it a few times already, but just give me your top three games, whether they're prime time or day games, doesn't matter. I'm going to cover them all to the best of my ability on Bill's post game, which is something we've started here on Sports for Beginners. But give me your top three that you're most excited to see or that you want Bill's Mafia to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Houston game obviously is number one on my list. The Stephon Diggs game. I know he was just very complimentary of Josh Allen, but that is still a game that I think a lot of Bills fans are going to have their eye on. You know, the Chiefs is an easy choice, but they've played them so many years in a row now. I'm going to go away from the Chiefs game. I'll go with the 49ers. 49ers have been the class of the NFC the last few years, and it'll be a good test for the Bills to see how they hold up in that matchup. And then for that, you know, the last game, maybe I'll go with the Ravens game earlier in the year, one of those primetime matchups, just because there's been a lot of back and forth on social media about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and while I think both are very good quarterbacks, I think Buffalo has the superior quarterback, and it's not very close in my opinion. So you know, if the Bills can go in there and have a statement against the Ravens, that will go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion on the Bills and especially the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. So, um, we will see what the Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen game has in store for us when they face the Bills 2 weeks after the home opener. So, what I mean by that is right after they face Jacksonville, and of course, they face Miami. And a reminder, the Miami game is a Thursday night football game, so that is a Thursday night football game. So that is not Monday night football. That is going to be a Thursday night game that will open up week number 2 this year. And then they've got Monday night football and Sunday night football shortly after that. The one thing I want fans to take away from this conversation right now is as you heard Ryan say, it is going to be tough when the Bills have to play night games and then they have to play a day game the next week because it doesn't leave a lot of rest. So the Bills are very lucky that they have 3 primetime games in the span of 3 weeks after playing Arizona. My top three include Arizona's home opener, the home opener against Arizona. I definitely want to keep my eye on the Texans game. And then my third one, I'm right there with you because I mean, we could talk about the Chiefs all episode long, but we talked about the for the duration of we talked about the Chiefs for the duration of the episode. But my third one, I actually like that. I like that 49er game. I like the 49er game. It's a good test for the Bills. The Texan game, definitely going to be my number two. And I mean, you can't go wrong with the opening. You can't go wrong with the opening game of the season because that's where you want to get off to a good start. Not necessarily a hot start, but you want to get off to a good start. So 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, even to kick off the season. Heck, I will take that any day of the week. If you can go 6-1, great. If you can't, even if you go 6-2, fine. That's good. Because remember, Bills Mafia,
Yeah.
the bye week is not till week 13. And actually, I do want to try to work something around for us to come on here, Ryan, and chat during the bye so that we can actually figure out where the Bills are, maybe see if how we're feeling about it. But honestly, I enjoy our off-season content. I enjoy the content that you and Matt provide. Big shout out to Joe Marino. He's been good when he covers the Bills for Locked On. I really enjoy Joe. I really enjoy it. Um, and Kyle does a good job with him on the combined podcast they do, Locked On NFL
Yeah.
Scouting with the draft dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Tons of great Bills content out there for sure. But
definitely,
I
definitely.
appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So We'll definitely see Bills Mafia if we can get any other Bills reporters, even over the course of the off season, maybe next season. We'll see if we can get one out there for you. But just before we wrap up, where can people find you, Ryan? And if they have any more questions, Bills related, any prediction questions?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter or X at Ryan Talbot Bills. You can find my work at nyup.com and syracuse.com. And you can find the Shout Buffalo Football podcast and all your major podcast platforms.
Yes, all right. And you could find me on Twitter, or as they call it, I guess X. I'm still calling it Twitter. I don't think I'm ever gonna call it X. So anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Scott McGregor 3. Once again, that is Scott McGregor 3. And of course, you can find the podcast on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. I am also on Facebook and Instagram. Different handles for that. I will talk about that in a later episode. But anyways, for the Facebook page, all you have to do is search Sports for Beginners podcast and you should be able to find it there. Go ahead and look up go ahead and look it up for yourself. We recently started a WhatsApp channel rather. That will be strictly for announcements. So if you want to check that out, if you're on WhatsApp, please feel free to do so. That will be where you'll find upcoming content like upcoming episodes and all that great stuff. And of course, the podcast, Facebook page, and the website, sportsforbeginners0.wordpress.com, is where you'll find all the updates on different content. I could go on, but we'd be here all day. You can email me at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. And yeah, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ryan for his time. It's our second episode with Ryan on the show. When are we gonna have Matt on? We'll see. Maybe it's next off season, maybe it's
We'll
during the
see.
bye.
That's right. Well, thank you again. You have a good night.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us here today. If you like what you heard, if you're watching on YouTube, both of these videos, the first one and the second one that we're doing right now, will be available on YouTube. So if you like what you've heard, hit the subscribe button, hit like if you like the video, leave a comment down below with your season predictions, and let us know. Who do you think is going to be Josh's number one target? This is open to any fan base, but strictly Bills Mafia. But it's open to any fan base. They can provide their content on there. They can provide their opinion on it. Who do they think is the number one wide receiver for Josh? That's what we want to know. So hopefully we can do this again with Ryan. But until then, my name is Scott McGregor. That is going to do it for episode 17 of season number 3. 3 seasons and 2 times we've had Ryan on. Will there be a third? You can bet there will be. You can bet there will be. Will it be during the bye? Will it be during the off season? Probably during the off season. We'll see if we can get one going during the bye. But until we talk Bills football again, which won't be until after the first game of the regular season, when I do Bills post game, I will talk to you again next Friday for another episode of Sports for Beginners, the podcast. This one, just like all the other shows we've done, will be recorded on Thursday. So make sure you tune in for that. Maybe we'll play a clip or two of Ryan and my conversation from today. Whenever this podcast does drop, I hope you will take some time to listen to it. And remember, as we always remind you when we do Bills content, go Bills. I look forward to catching up with you again next Friday for another episode of Sports for Beginners, our 18th episode of the podcast. And as we say, thanks to Ryan for joining us here today. He's got to go, so we'll let him go. See you around, Ryan. And go Bills. And as we remind you, it is not goodbye. It is always until next time. See you around, Bills Mafia. And don't forget, Bills postgame returns this summer. Don't forget. Who am I kidding, Bills Mafia? If you find Bills postgame, who am I kidding, Bills Mafia? If you find Bills postgame on the feed, you know you're gonna find it. Okay, okay. I think that's enough. The outro music is next. Thanks for joining us for another chat with me and Ryan. Peace.